The Law Be With You podcast show, also known as Christian Fandom Geek on YouTube, is now part of the Red 5 network. Red 5 is a network of podcast shows aimed at bringing great quality content, especially Star Wars. And so look forward to some awesome collaborations on the Red 5 network with the Law Be With You podcast show. Welcome to the Law Be With You podcast show. On YouTube, we're called Christian Fandom Geek as well. And if you are listening via podcast player, get onto YouTube, hit sub, hit like, and check us out there as well. So we've got a lot of awesome things going on. We're also part of the Red 5 network at the moment, which is a network of podcasts, players and podcast creators in the States that are really passionate fans of Star Wars and of lore. And so being part of this new network, it's been around for a little while, but the Law Be With You podcast show, part of this network, is a new venture, which is really, really excited. So we'll look out for more interaction for the guys on the Red 5 network for Star Wars and other awesome content as well. Today we are going over a bit of a fandom conversation, and we've got our old friend Steven Harper with us. Hello.
Old friend.
Not old in age.
What are you trying to say?
Not old in age, sir.
I still love getting told I look like I'm in my 20s, so
yeah, do you know what?
I'm always loving that.
Do you know what? Honestly, the favor of God is on you. You are aging really well. I would say that you're aging like a black man.
And you know what though? I do. I use, what is it? I use the cream, the skin cream, the cocoa butter.
Good.
I use that stuff. I've used that every day since I was like 20 or something.
Okay.
I love it,
folks. Well, this podcast show is about fandom and lore and the best stories of our age from a Christian perspective. We don't normally talk about moisturizer and cream on the Law Be With You podcast show, but in this instance, we can make an exception because
it's worth it. Get
it. Steven Harper. I mean, Steve, is there anywhere that we can direct the folks to see a picture of you?
I think the best place would be my Twitter account. I think that or my Instagram. I think either of those two.
Give the information.
So do you know what? I haven't used my Instagram for about a year and a half or something. I rarely post it. The last post I put out was a story of my dog bumming his little toy. I'm not
even going to try and quantify a reaction to what you've just said. I'm not going to even attempt it. I'm not going to even.
He really likes his toy. I've called his toy Barry, but he really loves Barry.
I'm guessing he loves it with that kind of reaction. I'm guessing there's a lot of affection towards that toy. Anyway,
so if you want to see that, then you can go to, it's my name, so it's Steven, and it's Steven with a V, Steven Harper, and then the numbers 1, 2 at the end, so it's Steven Harper 12. That's my Instagram. So if you look at that, you'll see the second to last, the penultimate post is a picture of me and my wife, so that will show you a picture of me, and then obviously my profile picture as well.
And hang on, isn't your wife she's a bit of a high flyer, isn't she? Is she one of those people that we're going to read about in years to come? And like, she's pretty much an entrepreneur. Is that kind of what's going to happen with your wife?
Possibly. She's done a lot of really good things. I think she's got, firstly, her Instagram is far better than mine, far more up to date. So you could even go and follow hers because you'll also see loads of pictures of me. But she does a lot of different stuff. She's now working on social media for this. It's like a hair product company it's here in the States, but it's also in the UK as well, called Monet. And she works for them at the moment, but she also has her own podcast. She has done she did a fashion blog when she was at university that went really well. In fact, she made a hashtag on Instagram that went viral, and now everybody uses it, called Village Society. It's like a very popular hashtag within the sort of influencer community. And my wife's got how many followers? She's got 50,000
No
900 and
way.
something followers on
No way.
Instagram. Yeah.
That is very impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah. So I'm an official Instagram husband.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
like I'm a,
How does it feel, man? How does it feel?
how does it feel to be able to hold a mobile phone to take loads of pictures of your wife? It's fine. I'm just against the selfie sticks. I managed to sort of redirect her away from selfie sticks. That's probably my biggest achievement in life so far.
Well
But
done.
yeah, she does really well. She's been doing modeling as well, part sort of on and off. She's done she doesn't we neither of us really drink alcohol, so it's ironic that she's done some modeling for Peroni, and what was the
Yeah.
other one? Some vodka, the Absolute Vodka, I think it is.
Yeah.
And another one. So she's been doing really well. She's been doing really well, and she does put her hand into a lot of different things. So it's definitely worth following her more than me, because I don't post much other than my dog and his sexual activity with his toys.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Stephen Harper, you are absolutely brilliant. You are a legend. My good friend Luke, not Luke Saw, Luke's always a good friend. So let me just clarify that before, because Luke Saw is one of the
No,
top
he's your
collaborators.
enemy. You like specifically say not Luke Saw. I hate
Luke
him.
Saw is one of the top collaborators on this show, especially with Lord of the Rings. He's an absolute legend. But in this instance, I'm not talking about Luke Saw. I'm talking about another Luke. So this other Luke, I know a lot of Lukes, by the way. So this is a joke that I have running with. I know probably about half a dozen Lukes. So
I'm not surprised.
So that's why I have to say that this other Luke who isn't on the podcast show, and it's an old friend of mine as well. Another friend who's old, as in I've known him for years, but doesn't look too old in terms of age. Although he probably isn't aging as well as you, Stephen Harper.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. You're about the fourth person in the last 2 weeks to say this to me, so I feel blessed.
We're back. Somebody just tried to call up. I don't know who it was. I don't know. It's not even supposed to have done that, so I don't know why it did that. But let us continue. It's probably. Do you know what?
What are you saying about me?
Luke's like, what are you saying? Don't say it. Don't say it. Anyway, back to Luke. So basically, he said about you, Stephen Harper. He said that you, and I did message you this the other day, that you're the heel of the out of all the sort of collaborators on the show, you're the heel version of the collaborators. So I love how, first of all, he used a sort of wrestling metaphor, which is amazing. I love that, first of all, because we are both wrestling fans anyway.
Yeah.
And also the fact that you're a heel, and I think it is based on the fact that you bring very strong convictions and opinions, and are not afraid to be unpopular. And so, I laughed. I laughed when he said
not
it.
Too unpopular. Hopefully, unpopular enough that people will listen, and not unpopular enough that people are like, forget what this guy's got to say. What an arse! I'm leaving.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Because there's like, when it comes to heat, and this is the word I'm using as a metaphor. There's kind of another wrestling metaphor, heat. You've got the good type of heat, and you've got the bad type of heat. So the good type of heat is the sort of heat that Triple H we used to get, and obviously The Rock. They would, when they were heel characters, they would get the right type of heat.
You love to hate them.
You love to hate them. You watch the show just to hate them. You watch them just to shout at them and say how much you don't like them. And then the wrong type of heat was. I mean, I'm trying to think of
it's called go home heat or go away heat. That's like the worst kind.
It's like, oh, hang on, Dolph Ziggler, he would get the wrong type of heat.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot in modern wrestling that would get that now.
Yeah,
it looks like the whole industry's got go away heat at the moment.
Watching. He got the wrong type of heat where it would it just would be a situation where it would be like they're just not that interested in him, kind of thing, and they just don't like him, but they're not gonna. They're going to turn onto a different channel, sort of thing, rather than, I mean, that's the wrong type of heat. That's not going to sell. That's not going to sell T-shirts. That's not going to sell, pay-per-views. That's just like, no, okay, this guy can't be the champion. So you've got the right type of heat. So well done. Okay, you're a good heel.
That's interesting.
Now,
I guess I'll play into that.
playing. There you go. Now talking about actually why we're doing this episode. Finally, this is like the longest build
I
up to an
love that you
episode
told
ever.
me earlier this is going to be like we've got like 25 minutes and we're 15 minutes in and we haven't even started talking about anything.
This is the longest intro ever, but actually, you know
That's
what?
typical for me. I apologize.
It's a lot of fun. Well, you're a lot better than you were before. On the first episode I had you, I couldn't barely get a word in there because you ran off like a steam train.
I was ready.
You was ready, man. Ready. Lightsaber lit up, man. You were ready. Okay, we're talking about Superman and Supergirl. So there's been a lot of kind of intense conversation, negotiations with lightsabers about who's the longest one between Superman and Supergirl. And I thought, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about it with the heel commentator, the heel collaborator himself, Steven Harper. So, okay, we've got some on screen rant here, and we're gonna just go down from 10, I think. So number 10 is stronger. I think he's referring to Superman. He's still able to fight after losing his powers. Now, I'm not. I wasn't really sure about that one. I'm guessing that's like from comic books themselves rather than the films, because I know if I'm thinking back to the films, there was the film with Christopher Reeve where Clark Kent fought and do you remember that?
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember watching. I mean, I've got them all in my movie collection, but I do remember. I just don't remember the exact one. I think 3 was the one with Richard Pryor.
Oh,
so I think it was number 2. I think number 2 was the one, and then number 4 was the really like bad one where there was like the blonde haired version of Superman who wore like the black and gold.
That guy, yeah. Oh my, you know what? I need to watch that film again.
I think those are the numbers. I'm just trying to. I'm remembering that off the top of my head, but I definitely remember where he fights himself in the junkyard.
Yeah, so and
so
he
doesn't crush himself.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's in reference to the comic books, because in the comic books and also in the you see it also in the TV show Smallville. By the way, Smallville was amazing. I loved Smallville. Huge Smallville fan. I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Smallville. Oh my gosh, that's criminal. That is actually criminal. You need to go watch Smallville.
You know, I struggle to watch series stuff.
Yeah.
No, unless it's Mr. Monk. Mr. Monk I've really got into the last few weeks. If you don't know what that is, it's like a 90s detective program where the guy's like he's scared of almost everything, but he's like the world's greatest detective, and it's just a fun show to watch.
Okay. All right, there you go. Alrighty then. Okay, so we're going. On that one, Clark Kent defeated Superman. It was an evil Superman. Basically, Superman had it was kind of the Bizarro story where there's a kind of doppelganger of Superman. One was good, which is the Clark Kent, but he didn't really have any powers. And the other one was evil, who was going around the world doing, un-Superman type of things, like being a very mean bully, mean-spirited guy. And they ended up fighting on this kind of, like it was a car yard, wasn't it, with tires and stuff like that.
It was a scrap yard.
It was a scrap yard, and Clark Kent won. So okay, so we can say that Superman can fight as Clark Kent without powers and still be strong. And could Supergirl do that? What do you think?
I mean, I think that's to do with the fact that Superman's lived on Earth as well, because I think that's a deeper level of like his fractured psyche. That's the way I've sort of taken it, is that obviously Superman has a conscience, Supergirl doesn't. So, or certainly not to the extent of Superman, who can empathize with humanity and understands the consequences of power, which is why he controls himself so much and is always, he almost holds himself accountable for the way that he uses his own superpowers.
Yeah.
So
because in Smallville, the way that they work the story is that Supergirl turns up later. It's something like her ship got knocked off course, and she ends up taking longer to get to Earth.
Right.
So in Smallville, like he's been there for years. He's been there like since a kid, and she's turned up. She turns up pretty much she's turned up as an adult,
Yeah.
um, because her journey there just took longer. That's how they kind of explain the time difference
Well,
in
he's also
Smallville.
experienced like the whole spectrum of human emotion as well. Obviously, with his sort of world, his earthly parents,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
experienced what it is to lose someone, and maybe even if he doesn't fully understand the emotion of it himself, he's been around the other people who do, and so he's learnt from that experience. So he knows more about suffering and loss, just to a deeper level. I'm not saying
then
that none of them know about suffering and loss, because obviously what happened to his
Krypton.
actual home planet,
Yeah.
but it's just a different level of empathy that he has, because instead of it being this godlike they've been destroyed, there's actually a very humbling, everyone's very brittle on Earth. People are easily killed, easily hurt, easily destroyed. So I think for him, he has a different understanding of like hope, which is one of the central characteristics to who he is as a superhero. And I think that's
Yeah,
all mainly because of his experience on Earth.
yeah, I get that, and I think that the symbol of hope thing is the big. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the biggest thing about Superman is that he is the symbol of hope. He is like, you see Superman flying in the sky, and the reaction is supposed to be, "Oh my gosh, that's Superman!" And it's supposed to be that kind of, or it is, isn't it? It's supposed to be that
Yeah.
awe-inspiring, like it's the Man of Steel kind of thing. It's supposed to be like, you know, like a demigod is amongst us type thing. Like this
Oh
is
yeah.
this somebody with powers is somebody that's morally good with powers.
Yeah.
And there is a
Even
difference, isn't
even
there?
with all that power, he still knows how to do the right thing. He can still discern between what is good and evil, and he walks that line between the two on the right side of it all the time, and that's what
Now,
makes him so
awesome.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, in terms of when we're going to talk about Zack Schneider in
Yeah.
a follow-up episode that we're going to be doing
Yeah. We'll
today,
talk about the devil
um,
later. Okay.
Zack Schneider himself. One of the guys that I've got on the show, Omar. Omar is so knowledgeable with comic books, and he really
Yeah.
does not. He doesn't like Zack Schneider, like yourself, not a Zack Schneider fan. And one of the things he doesn't like about Zack Schneider is his portrayal of Superman.
Yeah.
And we will go into that more later. But when you talk about hope, obviously the Superman that you get in Smallville, that you get in the Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner movies in the 80s,
Yeah.
you don't get the same Superman in Man of Steel to a degree. Man of Steel to a degree. But then when you move past Man of Steel and you go into Batman versus Superman and then Justice League,
What,
you
CGI
do
mustache Superman?
yeah, that guy. And let's be
Yeah.
honest, and we're gonna say I'm a Henry Cavill fan, so like I wasn't what they did to Henry Cavill on that. And I know we had another
I'm a
film.
fan of his, but I'm also like, I have a bit of a thing where, you know how with James Bond it's always an English actor.
Yeah,
Superman should always be an American actor. I'm sorry, but it just should be. That's the way the world is. Like they should always keep it, because him trying to, it's hard enough him trying to just be American, but like you have to be American. I've lived here now long enough in the States to know
yeah,
that you have to be here to understand the cultural difference between being a white American and a white Englishman or white Brit. There's a
yeah,
huge difference. And when you understand this side of the water and how the culture works here,
yeah.
you just have a completely different take on who Superman should be and what he stands for. Because
That's interesting. That's interesting you said that.
when you play the American dream into the character, because that's why Superman was created, as this personification of the American dream and what you can aspire to be.
Mm.
And so we don't have that in Britain. We're miserable. We're like the opposite end of the spectrum. We're content with being sort of bland and suffering and just miserable in general. Like it's part of who we are. We don't have that. We have hierarchy in society. We don't have that idea that one of us could be a king or a queen, for example. It can't
Okay,
happen. There are
that's
limits
interesting.
to our ceilings, whereas in America, the idea is that the sky is the limit. you can just go wherever you want and do whatever you want. And that's what Superman personifies, but with this idea that with all that power comes responsibility. And I think, just to go back to my point, so I'm not rambling, the American actor would understand that to a deeper level and a greater level. Even if it's subconscious, they would understand it better than an English actor playing the role. Because Superman represents so much more than just being a superhero. He is their Captain America. He's DC's Captain America all in one. So
yeah, he is.
What he represents to me should always, the same as James Bond, like they should always be kept as culturally relevant actors. And it's not like America don't have actors to be able to play that role. So
yeah,
as much as I like Henry Cavill, I personally would rather him have been a bad guy than actually Superman.
So would you run him maybe like as General Zod or something?
Maybe not Zod. I think I was ruined by the Christopher Reeve movies with that, because I actually thought the casting of Zod was perfect, because he didn't look butch, like he was just almost an average looking guy, but with godlike power, and that kind of made him more menacing to me and threatening. I think when you see like more of a brittle, smaller looking person in a very powerful role, to me that's always more impactful, because you're like, he's not relying on his physical attributes to be as powerful as he is, and that's scary.
What's the guy's name that play? Do you know what? He's in Smallville as well. He plays.
Is he?
He plays. I think he plays Jor-El. I think he plays like, and the voice within the Fortress of Solitude. So basically, you got this. Obviously, his ice cave, and he plays the voice in there talking to Clark Kent. And it's the same guy that plays Zod.
Terrence Stamp?
Yes.
That's his name. He's an old guy now.
Oh my gosh. And was he English? I'm trying to remember.
Oh yeah, Terrence Stamp.
Yeah. And what's the classic like? You know what? It's like, let me just do it. Come on, guys. We've got to do this one now. Stand before Zod. Kneel before Zod. Oh yeah, quality. The son of our jailer. Let's get him.
Well, this is the problem, you see, because what they did with that was they picked an American to play General Zod in that movie. So it was like a complete reversal of what I expected the roles to be. I was expecting the English guy to be the evil one.
But because Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is in Man of Steel. He's General Zod.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you think he was
Kentucky
a good
native?
A good General Zod?
I thought he did all right. I mean, I don't want to go. I know that's a very short answer, but I want to go into that when we cover that movie.
Okay. All right.
But I thought he was all right. I actually personally I liked him. This is one of maybe the only two movies that I liked that Zack Snyder's been a part of. Yeah. So this one was good. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Terrence Stamp. I thought he was I think Terrence Stamp is just a better actor for that character. Not a better actor overall, but definitely for that role. I thought he was perfectly cast in the original one. So,
and the whole Kneel before Zod thing. Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's great. I loved it. Because he has that commanding voice. He has that voice where you feel like you've got to listen and obey, and that's really important to that role. Yeah.
And that's why he was so good in Smallville, because it was like, hang on a minute, that's Zod, and it's like, but now he's Jor-El. It's like, oh, okay, that's really interesting.
Nice,
and he does the voice like in Smallville. He gives a very commanding voice, but it's a benevolent love. It's benevolent voice.
Yeah,
it's a caring voice, and it's like the archetypal father / mentor, who's kind of like, you're really trying to work and really build Clark Kent into being Earth's protector and Superman. And it's a great arc, a great story through the whole of Smallville. Now, let's get away from Smallville. One of the points it makes in this, we've gone from 10 and we've gone down to 9. It talks about Supergirl defeating Superman in one-on-one fight.
All right.
Now, Now, I know you're not going to be happy about this. We won't spend that much time on this one, but this is referring to the finale of season 2 of Supergirl. Now, I know
Oh
you
my
didn't, you
god.
didn't, you didn't watch Supergirl, but I've watched most of Supergirl,
Yeah.
most of it, not the most recent season, but I've watched most of it. It is very woke. It is very kind of SJW. So, it is kind of,
Yeah.
and it's controversial because of that. Some of it's really good. Some things work, some things don't work. But in terms of that fight, um, I understood it. I understood that she would win that fight because it's a Supergirl show.
Hmm.
So if you have to go from that point of view, you think, okay, yeah, within the context of it's her, she's the main protagonist. It's not a super. Okay, fair enough. What what I would say is this: so when you go beyond that show, there's no way that I would really be thinking necessarily that Supergirl is stronger than Superman.
Yeah. Don't
But
make them
but
fight. That's the simple way around that. Just don't make them fight full stop. If you want to make the woman look stronger, you don't need her to fight someone to prove that.
okay, that's interesting.
That's a writing problem to me. That's just poor writing, poor creative, not knowing how to make somebody look stronger without fighting. Like, if you have to always go to a basic one-on-one fight to prove somebody's stronger, then I've automatically lost respect for the writer of that, because it's just
So
like
how
there
would
are
you
many
how
ways
would
you can make somebody look stronger. Well,
how
I
would
don't
you
know the context because I haven't watched the show. So if I say something that
yeah.
sounds completely off, understand that I have no idea how that story was written, but that's my initial reaction to it.
Hmm,
Firstly, it's all about brain. Like, here's the thing: the Joker is not physically not a strong guy, yet he
hmm,
outsmarts Batman many times when
hmm.
he's going against Batman. Whether he
And
beats
obviously
him or not,
and obviously
it's a
Batman's intelligent
mental
as well.
fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Batman's very intelligent, so
he's a
there's
genius, isn't he?
power. Yeah, but this is the thing: because you know that Joker clearly couldn't beat Batman in a one-on-one punch-up,
Hmm,
it's the fact that his mental capacity is so much greater. That's what makes him scary, and that's what makes you respect him as a villain. Because without
hmm.
his mind, he's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's similar. It's similar to what I was saying about General Zod earlier. Without his without his mind, without that authoritarian character trait
Yeah.
that he has, he's nothing. Because you look at him and he's just like a pathetic looking. He just looks normal, just in a weird like tight suit. Whereas when you look at,
Spandex.
yeah, but Supergirl, in my opinion, should have been made. If you want to make her look stronger, she should. For example, I know in one of the comics she sacrifices herself when she dies,
Hmm.
and she actually saves Superman by sacrificing herself. That is how you make her look stronger without them having an actual conflict or a physical confrontation. Her doing something
Mm.
that you would expect Superman to do, and her actually
Oh,
overriding something that you would expect only Superman would be capable of. That's what you do.
wow.
You don't just have
Wow.
them in a one-on-one fight. It doesn't. That's like I said, it's basic story writing. It just goes to
Mm.
show that they probably don't understand the Supergirl character, and I don't. I'm not. I love comic books, but I've always loved comic books because I love to draw. And like I love to basically draw all the comics myself, but I
Yeah.
don't necessarily always follow the narrative, and I've certainly never been a collector,
Mm.
so I don't fully understand and know everything about Supergirl and her history. But what I
Mm.
know is that if she, because she has no limit in terms of she doesn't have the moral compass to stop what's right and wrong. She will just, if she's angry, she's going to use all her power, and she's not
Yeah.
going to think of consequence. She's just going to do it. And that's a
Mm.
good and a bad thing, which I'm sure we'll go into later as we go down this list.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. 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 No, that's good.
giving
That's good.
giving her the traits that Superman has of the limitations and knowing where that line is and when not to step over it. That's how you make her look stronger than Superman. If that's what you
Yeah.
want to do, you
Yeah.
give her limits and you start telling a story that's perhaps you transform her from being this girl who's come from a no context situation from Krypton and she doesn't understand the human race. Well, you build that story where over time and during series, she starts to understand the concept of what the world is, and she starts to relate to human beings, and she starts to then be influenced by that conscious divide, that moral line. And so you
Yeah.
start building a moral framework within her character, and over the seasons you build it, and she continues to grow and get better, and she becomes more and more like Superman, which is great because then you're actually beginning to balance out her and Superman as being equals rather than one being better than the other. And I think that's how I would do it, but I don't know what they're doing in the series. If they're doing it this way, it sounds like a series that I'm not bothered on missing.
There you go. There you go. Brilliant. That's some really interesting points you just made there. Okay, on to number 8. It talks about Superman having a power where he can basically use electricity like Black Lightning. Now, Black Lightning is another DC character, Jefferson Pierce, who's Black Lightning, who uses a sort of electric kinetic powers. Um, I'm not going to go on about that one that much really because I didn't know Superman could even do that. But that's kind of like I don't know why you'd give him that sort of power anyway. Because if you've got Black Lightning doing that, I think it doesn't. I don't know why you'd give Superman that. So I don't think they really run with that very often. I think it's probably a
It reminds
side.
me. This reminds me a lot of Thingy of the Flash, because
Yeah,
it, they're secondary characters, right? And
yeah,
unfortunately, just the problem I have with comics in general is when you start crossing over superpowers, you're watering down like the value of one of the superheroes, and this is why I think the Flash it doesn't have as much respect, because
mm,
you've got people like Superman who just do what the Flash does but better. I mean, I know that Superman's never won a race against the Flash. That's my understanding of it. And that Supergirl has won a race against the Flash. This is from like my mini research project going into this
yeah. I
episode.
thought that. I thought that.
But if
So
somebody
basically,
beats the
Super.
Flash, then you've completely wiped out the whole point of who the Flash is. And this is what I'm saying, where it's just bad writing, where they're trying to make a girl look stronger than a guy. Instead of doing it a smarter way, they've just gone for the most obvious choice, which is, well, what if we just have her directly beat that person at what they're good at, and then it makes her look stronger? Well, no, because we see through it. And that I think that's something that I see
Yeah.
through with when I see not only like Superman, but when you see any movie at the moment. I was thinking about this the other day. I said it to my wife actually on I was looking through Netflix movies, and the amount of movies now that are like predominantly female casts as the main lead, and I always leave those movies just feeling like I'm not following. I don't believe that this female is any stronger than they're trying to portray. In fact, if anything, it's so obvious that they're trying to write it to make her look stronger that now I believe it less. Because
They're trying
they're
too
not
hard.
yeah, like let's go away from the comic universe for a second. If you take somebody like John McClane, if you try and do a female Die Hard, then
Mm,
it's not going to work because you're going to try and copy John McClane. But John McClane was his own guy. So
yeah.
instead of writing a female version who is her own person, for example, John McClane's wife was a great example of a strong woman. She just wasn't doing the same stuff as John McClane was. John McClane, fine, he's the guy saving the day, but do you know what? It was his relationship with his wife and how strong his wife was that made me respect the woman in that relationship. I respected his wife, and I thought that she was equally as strong, even at the end, when she was the one who was obviously grabbed by the bad guy at the end of the movie. And it's that love that John has for her that makes that whole moment so important for you as the viewer. So what they did was they presented not a weak woman, but actually somebody who the main character loves so much that this moment now becomes really important to me. And I think when
Mm.
you just try and replace the female for the male, it doesn't work. It's less believable. Um, is what I'm trying to say, and that's the problem that I have with a lot of the feminist movement that I see in cinema at the moment, is that they're trying to replace characters without actually doing a good job of it. I think there was There's a superhero movie actually with two women. They're both comedians.
Oh gosh, that was on net. It was on Netflix. I know what you mean. It was
I want
it
to
was
watch that because that looks good. Because that's different. Like they've taken females and given them their own unique
honestly,
role in a movie.
I don't.
I haven't seen it.
Wow,
It might not be good, but it looked good
I
from
have.
seeing the trailer.
I have. It's. I wouldn't say it's a good film. I'd probably say it's it's probably below average if I'm being honest as a film. I think the idea of the film is good. I think it's Melissa McCarthy's husband who is the director of the film.
Okay.
But it hasn't quite worked out in that way. So it's not a great film. Like I said, I think the idea of it's good. I just don't think the delivery of it went quite right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I like. I like the concept of it where they've clearly thought outside of the box. They haven't just gone for let's just make a woman the main superhero like they did with Captain Marvel, like they did with Wonder Woman, where those two movies just fell apart because of how badly delivered they were. And when I say Wonder Woman, I mean the most recent crap.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean because the first one was a really good film. The first one was a very good film.
Yeah, they did a good job because what they did was you had a male and a female together equal. They were different, but they were equal, and that's what I loved about the first one. But in the second one, it was just awful. I don't know what happened in that second movie, but typical Warner Brothers ruining the DC universe at the moment. Just a complete and utter mess.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, I apologize for the noise if you can hear it. By the way, I've got drilling here. Hopefully, sounds like I'm farting all the time.
Right, let's go on. Scrolling down. Hang on a second. Okay. Number 6 on this list here. He's lifted 200 quadrillion tons with his one hand. So, it's basically saying that Clark Kent, Superman, is known to be stronger physically than Supergirl.
I mean, can you get any more obvious than that, though? Like Supergirl and Superman, of course, there are physical differences between a man and a woman, and the man is like, let's look at it this way. If you have the fastest man in the world running against the fastest woman in the world, and I'm talking about like athletes now, the man is going to win. It's not because man is better, it's because we are built physically different to women. Our body shapes are better for running. It's just the way that our muscles are composed. We have bigger muscles in general, but we also have more fast twitch fibers. But our hips, more importantly, are not as wide as women's, so we can actually run faster because we're more streamlined, and our legs run appropriately. And I know that because I used to be a footballer, and this was something that I would study with just the anatomy. You understand how your body shape actually helps you to perform better. And so there are just some things genetically that we can't ignore. And I think we have to be realistic enough to say, okay, just because a man can run faster, just because a man can lift more weight, whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean man is better than woman. It just means that man is going to generally be stronger than woman, and the man is generally going to be faster than a woman. It's these simple things that we can't ignore because they're real life. They're intangibles. Way we can't manipulate.
Yeah, and obviously this is a generalization. Obviously, we all know that there are women who are incredibly strong, and there will be women who are faster than men. It's not saying there's just a generalization here. Like if you're saying all factors being equal, all things being equal, and the man and the woman are roughly about the same. So they're roughly in terms of roughly they're roughly about the same in most areas. The man should have the advantage genetically. That's essentially what you'd be saying.
That's right.
Obviously, there are other factors that play.
A fat person is not going to run faster than a fat man, I should say, is not going to run faster than like an Olympic female athlete. It's just never going to happen.
Yes, right. That's what I mean. Yeah, or even a woman that goes to the gym and runs. So it's all things being equal. If they're roughly about the same on most things, then genetically you'd think the man would be stronger and potentially quicker. Okay, that's fine.
So I thought this one was a bit of a mute point. Like I didn't understand that, but this is like the kind of this is when you put a woman and a man in a one-on-one fight. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's the most basic sense of storytelling. There's no imagination to it. So when somebody says, "Oh, but he can lift more than her," it's kind of like, well, you're just stating the obvious now. That's a mute point.
But there are ways around it. There are ways around it. Like we talked about before, it is writing. It is how you write the story. Because you could easily have a situation where Supergirl was fighting Superman. Superman beats her. He's stronger than her. Okay. Supergirl goes off, gets a mentor or connects with a mentor who teaches her new techniques that Superman does not know. Okay. So,
but then it becomes a battle of the mind. That's what when the mind is involved, that's when you get a deeper story. And that's what I was saying earlier in reference to Supergirl's story. Like, you've got to build more about her psyche and who she actually is as a person to understand the power that she actually has. If you're just saying that it's because she can't lift as much as him, well, we don't know the context of why that's happening. And until we understand the context, we can't appreciate the character as much. With Superman, I think we already appreciate it because we know his backstory. We know everything that we can about him, whereas Supergirl is a lot less well-known, I would say, generally.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless the comic book fandom world,
right. That's right. Okay, number 5 was weaker. Superman has a conscience. We already spoke about that, so we'll move on from that one. We'll go to number 4. Okay, number 4 is strong. Superman is stronger. He dragged dozens of planets to a different galaxy. I'm not going to go into that one because
it's similar to the other one, but there's a moral thing here that's underpinning that context. He did it to save billions of lives or however many people there were on those planets. And that's an example for me of how Superman is stronger, but that's not physical. That brings in that emotional level to it that Supergirl doesn't have. His conscience was knowing that he was saving people by doing it. Now, I don't know. I guess there's an argument, of course, Supergirl would do the same. Well, I don't know because she didn't do it. Superman did. And that's where, if you want to build Supergirl up, they have to start. It's like I said earlier, you've got to start creating the parallels between Supergirl doing things that Superman would do morally. When you start bridging those gaps, that's when Supergirl's going to become, or the argument between the two of them and who's stronger, that's where they're going to become a lot more blurred, and you're going to start having more real discussion around it because all of a sudden Supergirl and Superman are beginning to merge in areas that they currently don't, if that makes sense.
That's fine. Now there are other ones on this Screen Rant story, but I'm not going to go into the other ones because obviously this has been an awesome action-packed episode already, and we don't want it to go on too long in terms of, I know you guys at home, you're enjoying it, but we want it to be like that you enjoy it, but that we're not going on too much at you. So we're going to leave it here now, and then the next episode we're going to talk.
So what's your final answer? Who's stronger?
Right. So
that's the last thing. Like, who do we think is strong? I know who I think is stronger.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So I would say this in Supergirl's show, I'm happy for Supergirl to be stronger because it's within the context of Supergirl being the main protagonist. So in that respect, I'm happy that there's no issue with her being stronger. Within the wider context of, I've got to go with Superman myself. However, if you want to do a story, because obviously these comic books operate in an ensemble where it's a multiverse scenario.
Of course,
I'm happy in a multiverse scenario that there's versions of Supergirl that are stronger than Superman, but I would like there to be a credible reason for it. I want it to be. I don't want it just to be because of SJW or politics or feminism. I want it to be. You give a good story and you show why. You give a plausible, cogent reasons to why she's stronger than Superman. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, Superman's stronger, so get over it, feminists. It's okay. Like, all I would say is that they shouldn't. While Superman should exist in Supergirl's world, I don't think they should ever directly conflict. And if they do, it should be because it's one of them's gone evil, one of them's doing something wrong, and the other is therefore morally opposed to the other. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't think the two should ever, they can have arguments, they can bicker, they can do all that stuff, but I don't think they should ever have a physical confrontation unless there's a
Yeah.
moral dilemma between the two.
And I think, to be fair,
That's the only time for me. And
and to be fair,
I don't know the series, but
yeah, I was about to say that. To be fair, in the series in season 2, Superman's under the influence at the time, so she's opposing him in that sense, or he's opposing her, and he's under. It's not Superman as that we know. He's under the influence. He's being controlled, and she beats him in that way. So in that respect, I would say, okay, fair play in that respect. But anyway, yeah, we both kind of, I think, agreed, and we've got some reasons as to why we think Superman is stronger. But actually, like I said, in theory,
good should always overcome. That's always been my big thing. Like,
of course,
so if one of them is, whichever one is evil, the one who's good should always overcome, because that's consistent with the whole point and purpose of what these superheroes, who they are and what they represent. So,
and in that
if
context,
that happened
Supergirl
in the series,
won.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
she should win.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But does that make her stronger?
Well.
No, because Superman was evil. You see, when you're corrupted by evil, you're immediately weaker. So it
there you
defeats the whole argument.
You're putting so true.
Two good people against each other at their best, well, Superman's always going to win, unfortunately. I'm sorry. The only other thing I would say is, guess what? Create a different character who is stronger. If people are so worried about female character being strong, then, well, as far as I know, there are people who are cartoonists, there are writers who work for these comics, write and create a new character that's stronger than them. I mean, I have no problem with that. As long as there's a good story behind the character, then do it.
Yeah.
And it's, it doesn't have to be characters that have been there from the beginning. What's wrong with writing a new character? Where has our creativity gone that we can't create a new comic book superhero? Are we so devoid of knowledge and creativity and imagination that we can't establish a new character into a universe?